Uh, March 18th, 2019, Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We have one application. Appeal number 2193, Champlain Valley Physicians Hospital. Chris Booth, we're here to represent. Just one second. Class B variance to decrease allowable open space. Are you with this? Okay. A full board is 5 members. We only have 4 here. One of them lives within 500 feet of the hospital. Our requirements are that he recuse himself unless there are not enough applicants. And at that point, he still can recuse himself, or you can say that you don't require him to recuse himself even though he lives within 500, owns property within 500 feet. Do you want him to recuse himself? Right, this way you'll have 4 members voting.
Right,
okay?
We're
okay.
Proceeding with
right.
Mr. Name.
Okay, so come on up, we're ready now. And this is an application by CVPH to expand the building and parking. You're expanding a footprint of 2,950 square feet for a total of 5,900 square feet, but the actual footprint is 2,950 square feet, correct?
Correct.
And you are altering the parking area by 17,800 square feet to result in a total of 300 parking spaces, which includes 22 handicap accessible spaces. We have your application in front of us. It shows the proposed site in the area, and we'll let you tell us about it in 1 second. And you talk about in the application, variance will not result in an undesirable change because it's only a small addition, 2,950, and the 1,708 in square in parking. The existing vegetative screen will be maintained and strengthened and allows you to expand medical services. The benefits sought by the variance not solved by other means because there's no other way to expand and provide these services on site. In other words, that you're full in the buildings, right?
Exactly.
The buildings are packed full.
Yep.
How substantial, the actual variance itself, the code required 50%. You are presently at 42.7% open space, and this would bring you down to 41.5, or about 1.2% of the lot. And you're saying it won't have an adverse effect because it's a small addition on the inside. Internals of the property, you won't even know unless you're in on your own property. It's not self-created because there's no other land that you can get to mitigate open space, and the health needs of the community have now started calling for this. Right. So that's your application. We will get to the seeker afterwards, but go ahead. You just want a little quick presentation and tell us.
So my name is Tom Palumbo from Stantec, representing CVPH. And you really ran through a lot of the cognizant points of the application. We're looking at it's a 2,950 square foot addition between the 206 medical office building and the office building next to it. Kind of fills in that gap. It's going to allow for a musculoskeletal center, so enhanced services for the community. With that, we decided since we were doing that, we'd also straighten out this parking lot. They have a need for parking on the south side, but what we have right now is we're able to kind of straighten the parking lot out and bring the aisles so that you can actually walk up the aisles towards the buildings rather than going through the parking base itself. To get additional parking, they've been striping things a little bit tight. This brings it back up to make it a little bit more comfortable for parking alignment, and as well as getting a much more ADA accessible. So we come up to 22. Just in this one region here, we added a group along here, and then we kind of added these up in here as well. We're really maintaining this line and this line along the bottom. So we're looking to hold that existing, there's a bunch of existing trees in there right now that we're gonna probably need to go in there and clean up. There's some plans to clean that up right now anyways. And add some more trees in there and reinforce that buffer along Tornado Street.
Ron, one other thing, Tom, the orthopedic or musculoskeletal center is one facet of two physician practice consolidation projects that are encompassed by the grant that is allowing us to do this. The parking is necessary for both of those services. So reconfiguring the parking, adding more handicap spaces is a key feature of public access to what will be two centers of excellence for both for cardiovascular services and for orthopedic services. And I think that there's a compelling community need for both of those services. Expanding the practice and being able to recruit and retain providers in both of those areas is a big part of this picture as well. So it's really not just about bricks and mortar, it's also about being able to retain and recruit for the essential services that fill the infill. Okay.
I mean, the other thing that I already discussed as well is, even though we're decreasing the open space a little bit, we've got some really high quality open space over on Beekman. I mean, with the work that they've done to make that front yard, really nice. We've got, the petties are exquisite.
You really not taking any of the quote prime green space.
Right.
No, I think arguably what's on our south property line, adjoining or common to Cornelia Street, could use some work in that area anyway. It's pretty overgrown, and so our proposal would bring this into more of a manicured kind of.
I believe the term
screening.
is ratty.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to go quite that far, but you're right, Scott. It is a little ratty, and the vegetation that Tom refers to is something we typically have to go in on a yearly basis and beat it back off the sidewalk so people can get by there. So.
All right. I mean, it's a relatively simple thing. I'm going to open it. We'll wait for a second. I'm going to open it to public. Do you guys you're here? Are you here about this?
Yeah. I think we're okay. We were afraid it was the old Ryder parking.
That's
We were
right.
afraid it was where the old Ryder building was.
Going
Okay,
further along.
We were afraid
Gotcha.
you were going to take that out, which could affect us.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
no. This is what we were concerned about
Down
over
there.
here. And again, this year, you've gone in there and you've dumped 8 to 10 feet of snow into that area. And I hate to think, as a resident on Adams Street, the impact that's gonna have feeding into that very limited drainage system you've got along there.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Could you just give your name?
Mike Wayne, 16 Adams. And as one of the property owners along there, I've been subject over the past 35 years to every improvement or detriment that's happened along that green strip bordering the backside of the Adams Street homes, to where on any given spring I can have up to a foot of water in my backyard because of the compromised drainage system that used to naturally flow along that green strip into 2 or 3 manholes, and it no longer does. And now you've dumped 8 to 12 feet of snow in there. And again, that was our concern, that if that were to become parking lot, it would even impinge it more.
Yeah.
Impact.
Understood.
Just to explain, we're the zoning board, and so we do this part about the variances, and yes, you're correct. This is over on the other side, it's not your side, but I would say that, University of Vermont, but anyway, CVPH is generally can be, and normally is pretty responsible for this, and I
Yes,
think
they have
that at the planning board, area, which is when they're gonna have to go and get this approved. I'm sure they're gonna, while they've got people in there working, if they've gotta clean up some kind of a drainage issues, they like to do that. I mean, when you say that's true.
We actually have, and it's not this project, it's adjacent to this project, but we're going to be doing some major upfit of the Cornelia Street entrance, which will also include drainage and so on. It's just, you can only bite off so much at a time.
Well, you know, in years past, all that snow is, when it melts, it overflows the sidewalks, and it's literally a running stream there heading towards the catch basins either side of your Cornelia Street entrance.
Yep. Well, you know, I think that's certainly something we can talk about with anybody who's interested offline in the way of looking for solutions to those problems, and certainly we're happy to do that. You know, it may be that what we really need to do is invest in more trucking of that product off the site logistically, and from a cost point of view, it gets it a little expensive, but you know, we want to be good neighbors, and that's our goal.
I don't see any, other than the added snow that's going to have to be dealt with from the parking lot expansion. I don't see, you know, where it's going to immediately impact that strip.
It may allow them to maintain it a little easier too, actually.
Yeah.
So, any other comments from the public? No? No? No?
I want to mention one thing too, Ron. You may have mentioned it, but I actually attended the Clinton County Planning Board meeting last week.
Yeah.
They came back, I think, and either voted approval or voted local issue on this matter.
It was an approval, not
It was
local.
approval.
Yeah, so you got that already.
No comments,
Correct.
so,
Correct.
which is good.
Yes.
So, if there are no more comments from the public, I'll close the public hearing portion. Want to know if there are questions from the board regarding this before we do the seeker and then after.
I guess my only question really is, are all your other parking areas utilized?
The answer to that would be, you know, a very definite yes.
All the way out in the northwest corner?
All the way out, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
We're using everything we can, and with 2,500 employees and, you know, 1,000 visits a day of patients, families, and so on, we've got all we can handle.
I just
in
park in
terms
the
of-
fire lane in front.
You just go in the fire lane. We'll keep an eye open for you, Ron, thanks.
Hang your handicap placard out?
Yeah. No, only because I'm going to the foundation for 2 minutes to give them something. Anyway, if anybody has any questions, if not, let's do the seeker. As I mentioned in the pre-meeting, the one thing that I noticed is that it asks for, number 2, require permits, approval, or funding, and you did list zoning, board of appeals, and planning board, but it also requires a building permit. So I'm going to change on mine, that will become an official one. Building permit from the building inspector.
That's fine.
That's item 2. Does anybody have any other comments? We should go through it a little bit, but I looked through it. I could not find anything else. You have adequate utilities and services to feed it. It's a pretty small addition. This is the short form seeker. However, I don't have, it's the older version, so I do not have items 1 through 11 on mine.
I don't think any of us
But
did.
at least I will sign this if somebody wants to make a motion that it is low or no impact and would have resulted in checking those items.
Yeah, I can make a motion that on the last page of the updated form that the chair check no, little or no impact in items 1 through 11 and sign indicating that the proposed action will have no adverse environmental impact.
Okay, seconded by Kelly Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
So that's the seeker. If there are no other questions, I'm looking for a motion regarding the variance itself. And I'd like the amounts of coverage included.
I'll make a motion in regards to appeal 2193 for Champlain Valley Physicians Hospital, Class B variance to decrease the allowable open space to 41%, to allow construction of a new building addition and additional parking to support it.
A second.
Kathleen, fill out your,
Yeah, I'm working on it.
and I'm glad you came though to this meeting. Good. It's always good. And I would say that you'll be pretty responsible. When we go to the planning board, one of the things the planning board looks at is whether or not they cause more water to be discharged onto adjoining properties. That's a good, right? We have 4 yes votes. You're all set with your variance with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we come back before this board after the planning board?
Nope,
then, or-
you're all done with us.
Okay.
We're all done.
Unless the specs change.
Well, unless you change something that requires, let's say
We
they
don't-
want you to
we
do something
not-
else and
yeah, we
and
don't
your coverage,
anticipate
Okay.
any additional changes, so,
if your open space changes because of some,
yeah.
We always have to go back. Right.
Okay, thank you all very much.
thank you. You're gonna fill in the right things up there. It's not filled in yet. No, I'll do it. I just hate the side of it. I don't know.
Is there like a walkway?
There is, there's a walkway, and actually I think it's covered.
Where? Oh, I meant
You
like
can
an
have this one.
elevated.
It's got the sign.
Is that it?
Enclosed.
It could be on the second floor.
Yeah.
No,
between-
no,
Okay.
they showed it on here.
And do you have a separate plan?
Breezeway.
Remember there being connection between.
I haven't been in that building since
Speak
my
to you briefly before I take off tonight. Yeah.
spent way too many hours
I
in
got
there.
some irons out there and I'm not
Chris,
sure I do
you want
everything
these?
correctly. Actually, they're
You want these?
I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Here. You want to keep your side?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, no.
Kelly,
We're gonna
Kelly,
recycle.
let's
You
go.
want it? No, just the plans.
Save some paper,
There you go.
right?
We'll take them off here.
Bring them to the planning board.
Yeah.
It's there.
Thank you.
And I just, wasn't sure.
Okay.
For variance, if anything.
Are
Permits and all that stuff.
you here for McDonald's? What are you here for?
Just enclosing underneath.
Yeah, I know. I knew that. I just wondered if he was. Come on up. Come on up.
Oh, before we get into that,
Oh.
can we approve
Going
the
out,
minutes?
like jutting out.
So
or
she
like,
can
I don't-
edit.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, but we're gonna do
I
minutes,
just wanna make
yes.
sure. I did give you a copy of the revised one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
You really messed him up bad. What was it you said, Kathleen?
Minutes, real quick.
You wanted to say
Oh, okay.
Ms.
Just a-
Inslee?
What's that?
Ms.?
Her Highness, Her Royal Highness?
No,
She already did it.
That and Jamie, that was the only corrections, right?
Yep.
I'll make a motion in regards to the January 22nd, 2019 meeting minutes as revised to be approved.
A second.
Only the three, you can't vote, just the three.
I was on a beach, sorry.
Yeah, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so they're all set.
Thank you.
Here's an approved separately. Okay, Kathleen has to leave. She's gotta go to Burger King.
Ouch. Well, I did, that was my first job. That'll always have my heart.
How you doing?
Good, how you
So
doing?
there.
Good.
See you later.
Again, I'm Steve
And your
Wilson.
name is?
Steve Wilson with Bowler on behalf of McDonald's.
Okay, and who are you with?
Bowler Engineering.
Okay,
I think I was last in front of you, I'm gonna say it was either October or November.
yeah,
And since that time, we've been in front of the planning board on several occasions to discuss what McDonald's is planning to do with the property. The project has evolved a bit, not dramatically, but there have been some key changes. And at our last planning board meeting, they suggested we just stop in, see you, just kind of give you an update.
Yeah.
You know, test the waters, make sure you guys are comfortable with the direction things are heading, so by the time we get back to you for the special use permit, you know, it's not a big surprise and you kind of know what's happening.
you're coming back to us for what?
Special use permit, and I think we still gotta just confirm, whether a sign variance is gonna be required or not.
But no coverage, parking, anything?
The project has evolved a bit.
Right, so no variances, as far as you know.
I think we just gotta discuss signage and confirm we don't need one there, but possibly one for signage. That would be the only one.
Okay.
And I can talk to you about some of the other changes that go to, you've got a good memory on some of the stuff we talked about last time. Yeah, I think when we were here before you back in the fall, we were in the need of variances for setback issues and green space. We've had quite a bit of discussion with the board about the project, obviously, over the last several meetings, and a couple of big changes is we have pulled the front curb along Margaret Street back to provide a green space buffer that's almost identical in width what's currently there. The board really wanted more green space up front. So that in effect has pulled all the parking out of the setback, and now we're going to provide a landscape berm along here to soften the view of that parking area. At the same time, we've reconfigured the parking lot slightly and pulled the curb out of the side setback as well. So that has eliminated yet another variance. And then lastly, we tweaked the parking count, we reduced the space. Working with the board, we adjusted some of the drive aisles, still provided plenty of circulation for trucks, but now our green space is over 40%. We're at 40.5%, so we're no longer in need of that variance as well.
Great.
So we've eliminated quite a few issues in the conversations with the board. They've given us some flexibility on, you know, drive aisles and that kind of thing that has helped dramatically.
Did they give you, they didn't give you any compact or subcompact space, they're still standard size spaces?
Oh, yeah, they are, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The spaces, yeah. Standard spaces.
Okay.
I think in terms of, the county gave the county's only comment, as part of the 239M review was suggesting, to make sure that the project had good views of the lake from dining. And as part of that, we added a small patio space along the front, and there'll be some quite good views of the lake out the front of the restaurants. So the front will be down here.
They were talking about views from?
They just said views from the restaurant of the lake.
Views from the restaurant?
Yes, that's
okay. Not from Margaret Street?
Not the other way around, not the views from the lake into the restaurant.
No, but I'm saying not from
Margaret.
Not views from Margaret Street.
No, that didn't come up.
Great.
I mean, that is, I was going to the building next. Any questions about the site itself?
No.
I mean, just to give.
So the only question is really, it's a special use permit.
That's correct.
Because it's an allowed use with a special use permit.
But it has an existing special use permit, I think.
Right, so we're modifying an existing one.
Yeah.
Yeah, why are we modifying it? The use
We're
is
not creating a new one.
changing.
Huh?
But if they already have a use permit, why do they need one if they aren't changing the use?
Are they changing square footage,
Shrinking it.
So,
right? They're
You know, I
expanding.
don't remember the exact details
What,
behind
do you
it.
know what the
It's
existing?
a drive-through
and the new one
business, and
is?
a drive-through business requires special use permit.
Do you know what the existing?
but they have
restaurant
one
is?
existing,
Exist-
correct?
The existing building's about
Or-
5,200 square feet.
or
We're
are they
dropping it down to
grandfathered?
about
I'm actually not positive.
4,400 square
You're
feet.
dropping.
Uh-huh. We're not putting a place on it.
I don't know, that's an interesting question, Scott.
Well, they may be pre-existing.
That's too bad.
They may not have had a special use permit.
Oh, I thought there was one, but, I mean, you guys know.
Can we
better.
find
But
out?
I guess the
Yeah,
question is,
check.
if they do have one, why do they need another one to do the same thing?
I don't remember how we got to this point 6 months ago.
Well, it didn't matter because they were coming for variances.
That's true.
They were coming for variances 6 months ago.
My suspicion is that they don't have a special use permit.
Yeah, I was pretty certain we had, I mean.
Well,
yeah,
let's
the
find out.
Direction was we needed.
Do you know how old the building is?
80-ish, like,
70, late
Uh,
70s.
late 70s, early 80s vintage, looking at that roof line.
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah, I
in
think it
there.
was before I went to college, so that'd be mid-70s.
Understanding
Mid-70s.
that a special use
I
permit
know.
is a matter of, in general, is a matter of right. You're entitled to that special use permit, you just have to come get it, and we have to, and we have to examine and make sure you're not having an adverse impact on the neighborhood. It'd be pretty hard to say you're having an adverse impact on a neighborhood you've been in for however long, you know, that you've changed. In other words, theoretically, I suppose if there wasn't a McDonald's there and you came and needed a special use permit, and so we said, man, this is a little residential neighborhood, and it's next to all our fancy condos or something, I suppose it could be quite, you know, but that's not what's happening there. You already are there. You're part of that neighborhood. You've been part of that neighborhood for a long
Well,
time.
it replaced the Orange Julius across the street.
Yeah, my uncle's place. The Orange Julep, yeah. Okay, what you said, I'm not concerned either way about the special use permit, frankly. I mean, that
Okay.
doesn't, but and I don't know if that comes under any coordinated review or not, does it?
Under seeker,
Who did the planning board do the seeker?
yeah, they're still in the process of it, they haven't
Yeah.
done a determination.
But they're doing
They've done
it.
coordinated review though.
Did we make them lead agency?
I think so.
I think so.
I think they've, yeah.
Yes, okay. So, now the only other question is what's the sign variance for? Multiple signs or size?
I think we just gotta confirm those requirements with Joe, on the number of wall signs and the total square footage allowed, just based on our interpretation of the code. Doesn't appear to us, but sometimes the sign code's a little bit interpretive.
See, if you just move those signs, you're not, the old signs. But when will you know that, do you think?
We'll set up a plan, I think we'll provide you an updated plan, so he can give us his interpretation on whether the variance is required or not.
Okay. It depends on what you define as informational too, right, John? Like the direction signs and stuff like that, are they considered informational, we don't worry about them?
And entrance, exit.
As we read the code, it seemed as long as there wasn't a logo on them, they just simply said, gave a direction, enter, exit, and they were under a certain square footage, which
Yeah,
I
there's
believe
definitely
is
3 square feet. something
per
like that.
side, I think that's what it reads.
I'm not being, we did run into this with Burger King, actually. Remember the in and out signs off the,
Yeah.
that was a problem that, same thing, like you said with the logos and the.
It's a common issue, a lot of towns have the same thing with their codes, that
Yeah.
they don't want the logos on a direction.
But is that what you're talking about, or are you talking
No,
about wall
we
sign?
wouldn't have logos on.
No, but you're talking about wall signage that could need a variance.
Oh, yes, that's the only one I think we have questions about is the wall signs, the number and the square footage.
Okay.
It's a 1, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, they'll need a variance then.
No, you can have more than one wall sign. You can't.
Oh, it's one in the
You
town.
can't exceed the maximum allowed square footage, which is.
Yeah, it's
2
based on
square
the-
feet. You're probably entitled to 150 square feet of wall sign.
Yeah, and if we're interpreting it right, then we wouldn't even need a wall, we wouldn't even need the sign variance either.
Right.
The freestanding sign, it's 100 square feet, maximum 20-foot height is allowed.
Yep.
We below that.
How big is the?
Are you
principal
100 feet
facade?
back to the building?
100 feet back
From the road to the building, are you 100 feet back?
100 feet now, there's 40 from that curb to that.
No.
Probably another 20 there, 60.
There's an increase in sign size when you,
It doesn't
I
sound-
actually didn't hear what was just said. What was
He was kind of getting at if they were 100 feet back, they can increase the wall sign
Yeah, that's
size.
100 feet back. It doesn't sound like we need a
That's not a
variance.
city regulation, that's a town regulation.
that's the town one? Geez, I'm all confused.
By the, we just
Trying
looked
to get you all the
at,
benefits.
so we just looked at the card, there was no special use permit, so there was never a special use permit.
So it was
It was
grandfathered?
not.
It was
Okay, so-
it was a
Sorry,
pre-existing.
so you'll be coming to us anyway for that.
So if it's pre-existing, do they still need a variance, or does that
I think that was,
pre-existing carry on?
yeah, no, that was the determination that, since they weren't just repairing it, they were,
Okay.
Is that it? That's the building?
That's the building after some discussions with the board. They still gave final approval, but.
what's the dimension on the principal facade that runs parallel
About
to?
97 feet.
Okay, so you're entitled to 150 square feet of walls or something.
4597 is a dimension of the building.
So the middle one is the west,
This is the one you see from the street.
and then
That
the
faces
one
the
on
lake.
the upper
This is
left
the one you
is,
see from the lake.
and the one in the upper left
This
is
is the one
north.
that, where the patio will sit in front of. This is on
So
the
the
left.
So
north.
that faces north?
Exactly.
Okay.
So based on discussions with the board, the skin of the building has been elevated and quite a little more money has been sunk into it. It'll be covered now in a hardy board siding to give it a more residential feel, which the planning board was looking for. We've added some vertical elements to kind of break up the mass of the view of the building from Margaret Street. And at the same time.
It is gonna be some, it's gonna be Hardywood or whatever brand, but
That same, whatever
Yeah,
particular
yeah.
it is, but it's a hardy board siding, yeah. And the board had concerns about the dumpster corral, which is right here, and the views of that. So what we've done is, besides a pretty aggressive landscaping plan around it, we've now upgraded the skin of the dumpster corral to basically match color, reveal, and of the hardboard siding, so as you're approaching the building, it'll blend almost right back in with the back of the building, so you hardly know the difference.
you don't have the two drive-through lanes either, they're like.
Yes, we do. McDonald's is first is a side-by-side with two ordering points that merge into a single
Okay,
drive-through lane.
right, just like up on Kerner Street or whatever, yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Because it's not now, right, it's a single lane now.
That's right.
Hmm.
So I guess it's really,
Yeah,
do you
that's
see anything
great.
here that says, well, you're heading it off the wrong direction because we want to.
Listen, you've obviously made an effort to get rid of variances, that's a
Mhm.
big deal. You know, I mean, relatively, a special use permit, it'd be pretty hard pressed to say that a smaller McDonald's was gonna have a greater impact than the bigger one, wouldn't you think?
Sort of right there where you
So,
approach the door.
I'm okay with it. So, the only other question is what you need to do. Sign variances are tough, you know, dealerships and restaurants all have their quote national standards. They say this is the standard, we can't order it that size or whatever. And I've done it for car dealers before, but you can always get us any size sign you want.
It sounds like we don't need to sign variances, but we'll
Yeah, I'd be
confirm
interested
something
to see.
for the next time we meet.
Mhm. Yeah, and
It
if you
should
need
simplify
some-
things very quickly, no variances needed and just.
Yeah, yeah,
special
it's
permits.
just, you know.
So, if I understand your process right though, the planning board's gonna take care of seeker, which would mean, once they do seeker, we could come back to you then to get the
Absolutely.
special use permit, and then once we have that special use permit, we can go back to them for site plan approval. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
So if you can get them, are you going next Monday?
No, we didn't, no,
Just to get the seeker done?
no. They want quite a bit more information, detailed information, stormwater reports, the SWIFT,
Okay.
detailed design. We're not there yet, so we probably won't be back in front of them until the April meeting, which I'm hoping would
It's
be,
after the,
which means we won't be back to you till
The
May.
prob-
yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
So it's,
When are you starting?
that's actually still in flux a bit.
March.
Yeah.
In March, yeah.
No later than Labor Day. I can tell you that. It might be the day after Labor Day, but it's gonna be that time.
Oh,
Any later than that, we
not
start
Memorial
running
Day,
into issues
Labor,
with,
not Memorial, Labor Day?
Labor
Yeah.
Day.
Oh, yeah, so,
I mean, with the board schedules, I can't see it getting through the approval process sooner than the end of June, because we'll have to bounce back,
I would
if
hope.
you would May, back to the planning board for final approval in June.
Theoretically, they're a week after us. You could almost, if everything was together with them, you could almost get it done in May. They're a
I'm
week
gonna
after
try,
us.
but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I know,
plan
I
for June,
understand.
hope for
So,
May.
what, well, we're ready for you whenever you're ready.
That's good to know.
Why do you have McDonald's sign on the lakeside?
Because that is a draw. It is, the building won't be recognizable anymore with the loss of the mansard roof. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
With that, it'll be the only way if you're on the lake to know that this is the McDonald's, and, you know.
Are you putting a dock out?
I don't think that's been decided yet. I think that'll come after me.
Get hungry out on the jet ski going for a,
Sweet.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to seeing you as soon as you can get here.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for fitting me in. I know it was
Oh,
a
no
last
problem.
minute thing. Thank you.
Do you want to talk to us?
No more Playland.
Come on
No,
up.
I just wanted to have a conversation with you, once you guys are done.
I can't hear you.
I just wanted to have a conversation with you,
Oh,
once
with
you
me?
guys are done, yeah.
Oh, not us, just me.
No, this is based on, the.
Yeah,
event
okay.
Last week,
Okay.
yeah.
nothing else? I'll
No, I
make a
have
motion
nothing
to
else. I'm looking
adjourn.
for a motion to
So,
adjourn.
do I need to make an appointment to have you swing over? and I'll-
Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Yeah.
You need to second the motion.
Come on, we can make a
Oh, I'll
motion.
second it.
All in favor, aye. We're
Aye.
done.
Yeah, let me know when you can work something out, and I'll stop over and we'll take care of it.
I